Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
This is my boomstick.
Here's Johnny.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Righteous! Righteous! Yeah!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Houston, we have a problem.
The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
All right.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Those Film Nerds podcast. As always, I'm joined by the highly talented and well-regarded Sam Dierberger. Sam, what's going on?
Now that's an intro. I'm doing well. How are you, Will?
Pretty good. And, you should be doing really well because you just got a promotion in Those Film Nerds headquarters today. You're now the CFO. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's about time.
There's so much money coming in. We needed a CFO to manage it all.
I worked my way up through accounting.
Right.
And now I'm here. And it feels good.
It feels good.
It's kind of weird because I'm already like 50% stake in this company, and
right.
It's a lot to manage.
No, we do a lot of work. Let's just say that.
We wear a lot of hats around here.
Yeah, we do. Well, aside from Those Film Nerds headquarters news, we got a packed episode today. It's kind of a special episode too because of Sam's going to be. I'll just give a quick teaser here. Sam's going to be doing his rating system live on the air tonight or today, tomorrow morning, whenever you listen to this. So that'll be fun. We do have just a slight amount of industry news that we'll go over. And we'll also break down our movie of the week. And Sam, what is said movie of the week?
This week we're talking about Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
A one, a two, you know what to do. This be an empty world without blues. I try to take that emptiness and fill it up with salt. But they want to call me Mother Blues. That's all right with me. It don't hurt none.
There we go. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Interesting movie, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that later. For now, talk about just a little bit of industry news. Again, not much happening this week, as always. Sam, I know you have one thing. I have one thing.
Yeah.
Mine relates to Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Should I go first or second?
Well, yeah, I mean, you should go second because that'll segue right in.
All right, perfect. You start.
I don't know. Okay, I just wanted to talk about real quick. Tom Cruise's rant on set in England, filming Mission Impossible 7. Literally, that sounds like a joke because Mission Impossible, there's so many of them, but it is literally Mission Impossible 7 that they are filming right now. And Tom Cruise, if you haven't heard this yet, went on a rant over members of the crew not following COVID guidelines, and he's saying you're going to get this production shut down because we got special permission to film, and hundreds of people are going to be out of work because big production. Right. And I'm just reading this morning that Leah Remini, who of course was connected to Tom Cruise through Scientology, she's a former Scientologist, she's now saying that rant was a publicity stunt on the part of Tom Cruise, meaning that rant was purposefully recorded and leaked to the media. And my question is, Will, what do you make of all this?
Yeah, I had heard of this rant. I had read the sound bites and whatnot. Had not heard that it was a publicity stunt. Excuse me. So if that's true, then I don't know what to make of it really. But from what I knew beforehand, I guess I was kind of, maybe Tom Cruise went a little too far, but I guess I kind of agree with him in the sense that, we're here by special privilege, so let's not take advantage of that and be safe, and let's not get shut down and have people become out of work for a little while. So I guess I was on the side of Tom Cruise. Maybe he shouldn't have gone to the lengths he did, but publicity stunt, that's interesting to me. Publicity stunt just for Mission Impossible 7 to make people aware of it, or what was it for?
It's not clear. Let's see. Because it looks like it says that Remini says, quote, Tom's reaction that was released yesterday shows his true personality. He is an abusive person. I've witnessed it. I've been a recipient of it on a small level, and I've been told of similar abuse by his former girlfriend, his employees, and his friends. This is the real Tom.
Well, that doesn't shock me at all, to be honest.
No, he's an absolute crazy person.
He's
and it says, and then she says that Tom does not care about the families of his crew. This is all for publicity. Tom does not believe in family values. I mean, how anyone is falling for this is just mind-blowing.
That is funny. I guess what Cruise could be doing is, either A, he is upset with his crew members, whatever, because he just wants to make the movie and get it out there for his sake. Because apparently, I mean, he is an out job. I guess he doesn't care about crew members or their families really. Or B, he's just doing this to make people aware of who he is, I guess, which could be. I don't know why he would do it in that sense, but I don't know. Cruise, like you said, is a nut job though. Weird guy.
Yes.
Love him though. Cruise will do literally anything to make you love him, so I love him for it. So there you go.
Yes.
I don't know. What do you think of all of this?
Well, I think it's interesting because Cruise is kind of notorious for constantly being in character.
Right.
Like he's one of those, he's a character actor, right? So his
sure.
The joke is that all he plays is just confident, cocky characters in different who do different things. Like I remember The Color of Money, which is from like 1988, and it's like a weird one of these like weird side projects that Martin Scorsese made, and it's with Paul Newman and Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise plays like a cocky like pool player, but he's like totally Tom Cruise in it. So it's like it's like imagine Top Gun, but instead of fighter jets, it's pool.
Cool. Nice.
Like stuff like that. So he's always trying to do something to I guess exacerbate his personality as much as possible.
The easiest way I can describe how Tom Cruise is like, on set and even in real life is, let me pull it up here. Just trying to remember the actor's name. On the set of making The Outsiders, Cruise is young. It's 1983, which is oddly enough a Francis Ford Coppola movie. Like that just seems out of place to me. But so on set of making The Outsiders, I want to say it was Emilio Estevez. I want to say, yeah. I'm certain it was him. Did a backflip or something off of a brick wall or something, and everyone on set was impressed, and everyone was clapping, whatever, cheering. And Cruise, he wanted to do the backflip off the wall as well. So he gets on the wall. tries to do it and just completely fails. I think he landed on his back or something. Just totally failed. And everyone was like, well, I mean, Emilio Estevez, he trained, whatever, he knew how to do it. Doesn't matter. And Cruz was like, no, I'll try again. And he wouldn't start filming again until he got it, the backflip. And he did it like 30 some times until he finally hit it, just so he could prove that he could also do it for no reason. Just
God.
that's just right there who Tom Cruise is. So
You got to respect the commitment.
yeah, you do. You really do. Yeah, Tom Cruise, absolute crazy person.
So then what is your piece of news related to Ma Rainey? Black
Yeah.
Bottom.
Yep. So it's more loosely tied just in the sense that this is the first of many Denzel Washington produced movies that show or will depict, I should say, Black life. And each of these movies, I think he'll have 9 that will come out within the next probably 15 years. And each will tackle a different decade. So Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was the first. And it's obviously set in the 1920s. And then we'll have one for the 30s, 40s, 50s, so on. So that'll be kind of cool, I think. That'll be interesting to see see how involved Denzel will be, or if he'll just kind of be a producing role, or if he'll direct any of them. I know, he directed Fences a number of years ago. That was a solid effort, also with Viola Davis. But Sam, what do you think of this? That we're going to be getting a bunch of these style movies. I don't know if all of them are based off of a play, but they'll all be in the respective decades.
Well, I mean, do you know if I think it was 2016 Fences is also related to this project? That's
no, I think they go in order. So I think Fences is unrelated. I think it's going to go 20s and then we'll have 30s next and then 40s. To my understanding, I'm not. I guess I'm not certain.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that Fences was also based on a play by the same playwright, a guy named August Wilson, which is a point of interest. I haven't seen Fences. I'm intrigued by it, but yeah. But this project as a whole is definitely an interesting undertaking. It's quite a lot, right? Because it's like what, 9 movies, 10 movies?
Yeah, I'm not sure what decade it'll go to. 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I think maybe thousands. I'm not sure. So anywhere from like 8 to 10, could be 7.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell if like there's going to be reoccurring themes, or there's going to be some sort of undercurrent that they're trying to convey underneath all of it. But yeah, it looks like a lot of them are going to be based on plays.
Okay.
Particularly Ogilvy's. I'm just reading this now. And we have several different people who are interested in being involved in it. It looks like, including Denzel Washington. It looks like he's going to be producing in some capacity all of them. So yeah, this is very exciting, especially if we get more things like, Ma Rainey's, which, not to get into it too much, but I really enjoyed. And this kind of like closed
setting almost.
Closed setting, this play-like setting, as you might, I think you pointed out in your Letterboxd review. It's like like watching a play. So yeah, I'm excited for this.
Cool.
You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I guess I would just say that if they're gonna be like Ma Rainey, which again, not to get too far into it, I enjoyed, but if they're gonna kind of have the same feel as Ma Rainey, I'm totally in for it. And I like Denzel. I think he's talented. Definitely, I'd love to see him direct some things because Fences is very good. Yeah, it's not fantastic, but it's very good. So I'd love to see him direct more of these. Definitely produce, and maybe even star in a few would be cool. So yeah, I guess my anticipation is I think this will be cool, and it's an interesting undertaking too, and it'll be kind of, obviously they won't be like sequels to Ma Rainey, but I hope they have the same tone, and yeah, I'm excited for this. This will be cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell if these films are going to be I think they're all going to be on Netflix. I think the deal was originally with HBO. It moved over to Netflix, and it's hard to tell. I'm not even sure if we know what the next film will be or when it will come out.
No, yeah, we don't. There's not much to go off of here. There, all I know is that he's doing this. We don't know what any titles or release dates or anyone else involved. So really not much to talk about other than what we've said. So Sam, do you have any other thoughts on this or any other industry related news, or should we talk about?
You know what? I think we should get right into it.
Where's the horn player? I got a friend.
Come on, Libby. You rehearse like everybody else.
I'm gonna get me a band and make me some records. I know how to play real music, not this jug band shit.
You call that playing music?
I know what I'm doing. Go on and fire me, I don't care.
When I got there, they began to say.
That's to get the people's attention. That's when you and Slow Drag come in with the rhythm part. Me and Cutler play on the break.
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Here we go. This had been one, after learning about the passing of Chadwick Boseman, maybe, almost probably 3 months ago now. This is one that I had circled on my calendar. It easily shot up in my most anticipated movies of 2020.
Of course.
Knew it was coming to Netflix, so it was easily accessible, which I always like. And I really didn't know much about this property of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I didn't know it was a play, so that was a pleasant surprise upon entering the movie. And pretty early on, I was like, this has to be based on a play, right? Because there's dialogue heavy, no scene or no location changes. So yeah, I had anticipated this one a lot. Sam, what were your anticipation levels? What'd you know about this? Just kind of go over that, and then we'll get into general thoughts.
I knew I knew a little bit, but I thought I think I assumed the wrong things. I thought initially that we would have kind of like almost I don't want to evoke this name, but a Green Book-esque kind of story in that they're traveling around the country playing gigs. You know what I mean?
So
like,
you were
I thought,
upset.
oh, okay, they're traveling musicians.
So you were
I was devastated. But no, we find out it's literally it takes place in one location for the entire runtime, basically, more or less. I mean, we have a few exterior shots, which, by the way, towards the beginning look really good. They're really I guess you could pull that off on like a closed set, but kind of like historic 1920 Chicago. The production design was really good. But besides that, I mean, yeah, it takes place in basically 2 rooms. And it's an interesting dynamic too, because it's not like 2 separate locations, but it kind of is, because you have a basement.
Right.
You know, the rehearsal room is essentially in the basement, and then the actual studio is on top. And these guys have to go down to the basement to rehearse. And it's just like it looks like a terrible room to rehearse in. You know, it's bare bones. The
like
acoustics are terrible. Yeah. And there's also this weird random door that Levy keeps trying to open, and I'm still trying to piece together what exactly that means, but it has to mean something, right? So, you know, I think there's something metaphorical there with the whole dynamic between the basement on the bottom and the recording studio on top. I'd actually like to see the play to kind of discern how they pulled that off. You know what I mean? Or if that was a liberty they took when making the film. Because I the entire time, like you said, I thought, yeah, this is based on a play. You can tell because, you know, like you said, it's dialogue heavy and everything. But I thought, like, you know, logistically, how do you pull this off in a play? Because there's a lot of cutting back and forth. Are those like separate scenes? Because in my mind, the cutting back and forth worked really well between Ma Rainey and her kind of fighting with the producers and her manager, and then the guys downstairs kind of having their arguments during the rehearsal. But yeah, what are your initial thoughts, Will?
Yeah, you kind of you hit a lot of really good points there. I think with the whole dynamic with the basement and that door, there's really, and even a lot more things than just that. There's a lot to unpack in this movie, and I'll say this movie did a lot in only 94 minutes, which I appreciated and respected, because you know, when I was sitting down, I was like, this movie, if you tell me the subject matter or what it is and told me guess a time or how long it is, I would have said like 2 hours and 12 minutes. And when I saw it was 94 minutes, I was like, nice, that's awesome. And it's still effectively related story. So it didn't take any liberties with the short time or the shortened run time. But yeah, my initial thoughts is I really liked this. I think the play nature of it serves it very well. But that they also didn't stick to a tradition, like just a straight up play, like with the cutting back and forth, played really nicely. But yeah, I really liked a lot of the band members' dynamics. I thought, you know, obviously this is well acted, obviously. I especially liked Coleman Domingo. He was the trombone player.
Yep.
Loved him, liked his work in here, and loved his relationship and dynamic with Chadwick, with Levy. Thought they had a great dynamic as kind of an older guy who knows a lot about everything, and a younger guy who's probably a little bit more talented, but you know won't sit down and listen to advice. Thought that was really nice. And obviously Viola Davis was awesome. I thought her struggles with her manager were cool. But Sam, I'll ask you this. I was surprised to, you know, going into this, I figured Ma Rainey was the lead. I figured Viola Davis was the lead, and she was not. It was the Chadwick Boseman show for a large majority of this. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I did know. So going in, and this I guess ties to a larger discussion about Chadwick and you know, the Oscar buzz that he's getting. But, you know, like going in, I had read all these articles saying like, you know, the Oscar buzz for both. I think one was titled like the Oscar buzz for Boseman is not out of pity or sympathy, you know, because initially that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, you know, like he died at a very young age 3 months ago. People like the storybook of giving a prestigious award to posthumously to an actor. And then I was kind of cynical about that. And then I watched it and I'm like, yeah, it's not out of pity. Like it's
No.
it's a serious for best actor, and he should for sure be nominated, possibly even win. But yeah, so I mean, I wasn't surprised because I'd read that stuff. I wasn't surprised that Chadwick took more of a lead in this one.
Okay.
I was more surprised with how little was spent on Ma Rainey herself.
Right.
Like, we don't really see her character develop that much. I mean, Viola Davis does a great job, obviously, but we you know, the character is just kind of through everything, refuses to meet anyone else's demands but her own. And you know, that's basically the character. You know, she if someone tells her to do something, she's just like, no, I'm gonna do it my way. And that's all we know about her. There's not a whole lot of nuance to the character, but it served the purpose, right? I was just surprised with how little she was actually involved in the I guess how the story unfolded.
Sure. Yeah, I was surprised by that too. I had going into it, you know, I had seen some Oscar predictions, and it was predicting that Chadwick was going to win Best Actor. And again, I was a little hesitant on that. Upon watching it, I think he completely deserves it. My vote would go to him. So far, you know, I haven't seen The Father with Anthony Hopkins. You know, maybe he'll have something to say about that. I think he's better than Gary Oldman in Mank.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Viola Davis was also leading for Best Actress, and I just don't know if she's a lead in this or if she's supporting. What do you think there? Would you say lead or supporting?
I would say probably supporting. I mean, on the cast list, it has her first.
Right.
You know, like it says like starring Viola Davis, Chadwick Boseman, you know. But she's really not central to the story.
Agreed.
And I don't know if that's intentional or unintentional. I really can't tell. Because you know, a lot of people are saying like, oh, it's you know, it's a story, it's a race story of America, and she, you know, has two different layers of oppression right now in show business, and she's also a Black female, right? So it's like she's fighting all this oppression, but it's not like it was more like she refused to take no for an answer, and she did it her way. And really, it's about Levy, Chadwick's character, struggling with, I guess, finding an identity. But it's like a little microcosm of that because we're only seeing it in this hour-and-a-half window. I mean, the movie basically takes place in real time almost. And it's just a little tiny piece of a larger struggle, right?
Right.
But getting into that, like the character of Levy is very complicated.
Oh, for sure.
Right? It's a very hard character to pull off. Because initially he's totally unlikable. I mean, he gets in there with like these veteran musicians yelling and rambling, and he's like, no, we're doing my arrangement. It's like, what do you know? Like he's super off-putting.
Right.
And then he's super manic too. And then he switches into this long monologue about how like the terrible tragedy that befell him when he was a child, and like you know, you almost get the impression that his character is just making that up on the spot. Like he's just so he's so emotionally unstable. And I would just say it's not a typical, you know, if Chadwick ends up winning Best Actor for this, it's not a typical character to win Best Actor. You know what I mean? Like it's a very tricky protagonist to pull off, and he pulled it off flawlessly.
Absolutely. It's an unorthodox role and unorthodox character. And I think the scene that you're referring to where he kind of tells the story of how his mother was assaulted and then how his father moved them away, and then his father left, and let's just go into spoilers. We're gonna hit spoilers here for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Go see it and come back. You know, his father goes away and ends up dying, of course. But how many lessons Chadwick's character Levy learned from that, you know, of he can't back down, or he has to assert his dominance and show that he can prove himself in face of, you know, the white man or whatever. You know, you're right. That definitely shows how kind of dynamic and interesting that character is. And really, I could watch an entire movie of a character study of Levy. I wouldn't really say this is a character study, but would have loved to have seen more of his background and so on. But where do we go from here? What did you think of, you know, the overall plot? Because really the whole plot is that they're recording. So did that work for you, or was it a little slow at points, or didn't have enough material? What do you think?
It was a little dry, like in terms of, you know, it ran out of steam about halfway through, because I would say during the recording sessions when I think Sylvester is his name, the Ma Rainey's nephew who has a bad stutter, and he is supposed to do this little intro to the song, and they keep doing it over and over again. I think that was I mean, I think that could have been, I guess, sped up a little bit, or I guess expedited, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't distracting or anything to the plot. But I'm still trying to figure out if, you know, all of what I saw there was central to the story itself. You know, like, did I really need that for the characters? Because as we find out, I guess we're in spoiler territory now, but by the end, you're thinking like, you know, it's still quite a leap. It's quite a leap. When, of course, Levy ends up stabbing the piano player Toledo. Like just out of nowhere. It does still feel to me like quite a jump. I think the ending worked well, but it's really a big leap for what we saw leading. It's a very drastic action.
You know, I thought that originally, but yeah, upon further reflection, I'll just play devil's advocate a little bit. Is the movie gives us a couple signs that Levy is kind of off of his rockers. You know, I mean, we like we already mentioned, we had that whole speech of, you know, his backstory. So he's already kind of tense, and if things don't go his way, he's upset. We have that whole another great scene by Chadwick, kind of, you know, his second Oscar scene of the movie, when, you know, he has the knife out and he's sort of trying to stab Coleman Domingo, Cutler, but not really. And he's more just questioning, like, does your God, whatever, that whole thing. Then, you know, we find out that the producer, Sturdy Vance, doesn't want his songs, but it's pretty clear that he does want them, and that he just doesn't want Bozeman or Levy to play them, so he doesn't have to pay him. Essentially, It sounds like. We have all of those things, and I think all of those kind of push Chadwick to a break, or I should say Levy, push Levy to a breaking point, where when Toledo steps on his shoe, he gets angry, and Toledo doesn't really seem to care, and he ends up stabbing him. I agree with you in a sense that it was a jump, but the movie at least gave us some signs as to Levy is very unstable, and it's easy to see that he'll crack. So,
well, I guess like thematically, how does that play out for you? Because I think that like I said, the ending does work well. Like it fits. It just seems like we skipped something there that was really, the catalyst or whatever. But it fits because it's like I would consider the movie to be about misplacing rage.
right.
There are some things that just you can't explain. There's a lot of suffering that you can't point to a cause and say, why is this happening to me? There's just no way of knowing. And if you're not careful about where you place blame, then you're going to end up hurting someone vulnerable.
Sure.
I think that's what we see like reoccurringly throughout. And, by the end, we see that, Levy gets screwed because, the producer goes ahead and records the song without him. And that's, again, it's like, do you chalk that up to simple racism, or is it something, is it something deeper about like people are people and they at root they're out to screw each other, especially in a cutthroat business. So I thought thematically that worked well because Levy is almost a tragic hero in some sense.
Yeah. Definitely a tragic character.
He's a tragic character for sure because he's slowly driven insane. He kind of, in some sense, parallels to something like Hamlet. He's extremely emotionally unstable, like you said, and he's not quite sure where to place his anger,
right,
or the proper outlet for his emotions. Right.
Absolutely. Let's get into a few more things that we really liked about it. I'll say that my favorite part of the movie, I know you kind of said it maybe didn't work for you a little bit, and the intro to this part, maybe I agree with you that it could have been shorter of, the part where the Sylvester is trying to say his intro. But when he hit his intro and then they played Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, they played the song. I loved that part, man. That was awesome. I'm almost certain Viola Davis is singing, and she's got some pipes. That was cool to see, and I love blues. So that was my favorite part of the movie. Loved that. I loved that Toledo, the piano player, he was really pretty funny at times. He had a dry sense of humor, but with the scene with Chadwick and is it Ma Rainey's daughter, Dusty May, or is it her niece?
Something I'm not sure, but
when Levy and Dusty May start interacting with each other, and Toledo says a one-liner when he leaves, like "Don't get me involved," or it's
yeah.
What things did you just enjoy about this movie?
Well, like you said, I thought the music was fantastic, and I also liked that. A lot of these like musical, I wouldn't call this a biopic, obviously, but like these kind of documentaries almost about music. They really force a lot of the music on you, and there's just it quickly becomes clear that it's just kind of trying to compensate for a lack of character development or something. But with this one, it's not, there's not the music is constantly interrupted by the characters, which is what you want, because we want to see that development. But the music is fantastic at the same time. The blues are that they play are really, really good. And I couldn't believe that was Viola Davis singing, by the way. I didn't realize that. Man.
It was awesome.
She could also like absolutely throw down with the vocals.
Right.
And Chadwick too, obviously he's not actually playing the trumpet, but he is singing at some parts when he's composing his own pieces. And obviously we see that he can sing, like James Brown. But yeah, he also has some pipes.
Yeah, and I really we don't really get into things like this that often, but I thought the editing of this movie was really nice. I liked some of the sequences of them kind of throwing away the tapes a little. That was cool. It was flashy enough, but you could still, the cutting back and forth, all that is editing. We talked about that, and that was really well done as well. Let's, we've been pretty much just praising it the whole time. Is there anything you did not enjoy? And then we'll kind of get into the ending, the absolute ending.
I thought with Ma's niece, I think we decided. Dusty May. Oh, it says on the cast list that it's Ma's young girlfriend. I don't know what to make of that.
Okay.
But I guess Ma's friend. I thought that was a little I don't know, a little
forced,
strange.
Okay.
Because forced, because it's not like, from what we can tell, they didn't really know. I mean, they probably knew of each other, but all of a sudden, they're committing acts on the piano, for God's sake. Like, come on, that could also be symbolic. I mean, Levy is is putting things before the music,
right?
In the rehearsal room.
Yeah.
But, I thought that was a little forced.
Okay. I would say, I think, in the opening scene when they're playing in Georgia, I think he sees her. But yeah, I don't think they really have a relationship. I think he's more just, attracted to her. Yeah, I'll agree with you there. There isn't really much here that I didn't enjoy. It'd just be slight nitpicks, really. I guess I would have maybe liked to have seen a little bit more development of Ma Rainey. Like we said earlier, she's kind of not necessarily flat, but she's really just, she's there to record. She argues with the managers a little bit, and then we move on. So maybe a little bit more character wise for Ma Rainey. It is her movie after all. But yeah, this movie is solid throughout. There's not much to complain about. I guess let's get into the ending, then maybe some wrap up thoughts, and then ratings. We talked about Levy killing Toledo, but what do we think about the absolute ending of, we kind of hinted at it earlier, but someone else recording Levy's music?
Yeah, that's. I mean, you kind of saw it coming. Like, even the running theme on this show is that I'm not good at predicting things in movies. But I actually saw that coming. I was like, yeah, even halfway through, I'm like, yeah, Levy's gonna end up getting screwed somehow for his music.
Right.
Actually, that they were gonna like steal his sheet music or something like that. But $5 for each piece, which is still, $5 is a lot of money in 1920s, but
1927,
royalties and everything. Yeah, but royalties and everything, could have made a whole lot more. And there's something to there's obviously comments on race throughout, but it's made very explicit and clear when the producer ends up recording Levy's music. They explicitly show that everyone in that musical ensemble is white.
Is white.
And a white man is singing it. That's obviously trying to say something.
Right.
And I think most people would pick up on that. So there's something there. I thought, again, I thought the ending worked really well, even though I think it was a bit of a leap, like we said.
Yep.
Really well.
Yeah, I think the ending of the white band singing Levy's music, I think that was appropriate in the movie. I don't know if I would have had that be the last shot. It doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's another complaint of mine, is that it seemed like it should have, the last shot should have been of, we said this, Rainey, probably. But again, that's kind of a nitpick. But let's just real quick before we get into wrap up thoughts. Do you have any more thoughts on that room? Levy finally does open that door. Is that him opening his door to full insanity, or what is that? What is he doing there?
I think it goes back again to what I said, is that the movie, it has overtones of like racism, what is still prevalent today, what was prevalent back then, all of that. But it goes much deeper than that. It's about human nature. And again, it's about trying to find a cause for suffering, I think. And Levy is constantly trying to find who's trying to screw him. He thinks he can manipulate the system. He repeatedly says, like, I know how to handle the white man. I know how to handle everything. I can take control of my own life.
Yep.
And he keeps finding, there's a lot of things out of your control. Some of it is attributable to maliciousness, and some of it is just the world. And I guess if I had to say, I would say that him breaking into that small little room and looking upwards, and it's just basically, I would describe it as like a well. Like you just look straight up and it's just the sky. It's like he's at the bottom of a well. I would say it's him kind of realizing that, there's no answer. There's no real answer for that. There's nothing behind that door. There's no monster on your bed that's trying to ruin your life. It's just life itself being difficult.
It's fair.
So that's what I would say. And that's what sets him over the edge, right? And he ends up stabbing Toledo. What about you? You have an idea on that?
That all seems, I like that thought right there. Yeah, Bozeman, like you said, the entire time is Levy is, thinks he has it all figured out, and but it doesn't. Things don't work out for him. He says multiple times that he's unlucky, that he never has luck. So yeah, I think that's probably him just realizing, like you said, that it is nothing. That's just how it works. But so wrap up thoughts here. Really enjoyed this. One of my favorites of the year. And it's so well rounded, from acting to and then just overall filmmaking, like we said, the editing and the music is great, and so on. Loved this movie. Sam, what do you think? Wrap up thoughts, and then any Oscar thoughts as well.
Yeah, I think something we've been alluding to this throughout the episode, but the dialogue is fantastic throughout this. And I don't know how much of that is attributable to the screenwriter or how much was preserved from the original play. But a lot of this dialogue is really engaging because it's super funny. Like a lot of it is super funny. And also a lot of the characters, I think almost all the characters refer to themselves in third person, like a lot. And it's super It's super funny. Like Ma like says like, you know, like I'm not doing anything. Ma's not doing anything until she gets her Coke, you know, like like, and then Levy especially has such an inflated ego that he's like third person all the time.
Right.
But and then I would say the dialogue and the I don't think there's anyone in the cast that does a mediocre job. Like everyone is giving it their all.
Sure. Something interesting too. Slow drag the bass player. Not an actor. That's just
Oh really?
yeah, just a bass player, which is cool. But Oscar buzz, yeah, I definitely see this. I think Chadwick should win actor. Viola Davis should be nominated for whatever actress she'll be in, supporting or lead. Probably shouldn't win. Wasn't.
Yep.
I think adapted screenplay for sure. At least a nomination. Picture for a nomination. Maybe editing and some overall like production design. You know, I think this could be nominated for nine awards. I think this is one of the best movies of the year. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I would say all of yours in addition to best maybe song.
Yeah.
You know, one of those categories.
Nice.
I wouldn't call it a score necessarily.
No, yeah, you're right.
But I think it could definitely win for something musical, right?
Absolutely.
Because the music is fantastic, as we touched on.
Well, let's get into ratings. I'll start, and then we'll go to yours. Where you'll break down your scale. Which, by the way, I need to pull, so I'm following along. For anyone else who wants to follow along with, just go over to Letterboxd and look up sjdierberger.
Yes.
And then go to his bio so you can follow along right now. But what I'm going to give Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, I'm going to give it a 4 stars. This is one of my favorites of the year. Very good. But Sam, let's get into it. Let's hear it.
Okay, so I think we're gonna start with the minor categories because they have less weight, and there's they're minor. Okay, we'll save the major for long-term effect. But so starting there, title, hard rating out of 10. What do you give the title? I would say an 8. I would say that the song Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is central to the movie. But it is a little confusing, like if it doesn't quite sum up the movie.
Okay.
But it's confusing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm going to give that an 8. Cultural/historical significance. How important is this movie to us? I'd give that another 8. I think that it's still a little niche, but it's I think it tells a story that's important. Perfectibility of protagonist. This one's tricky.
Right.
Is the protagonist still human enough, but still likable enough? I'd actually give this about a 6 because for most of the runtime, I think Levy is pretty unlikable. Just as a general rule, he's still a complex character. He's still an interesting character.
Okay.
Cast is probably a 9, I would say, with Chadwick Boseman and Viola Davis leading it. Very good. Cliche avoidance. That's another 9. It avoided a significant number of cliches. I was kind of surprised by a lot of it. Necessity of scenes. This is pretty tight. That's another 9. Not a lot of fat there to trim. Soundtrack choices, score, that's a 10.
Nice.
The music is fantastic. Shot selection is really good. I'll give that an 8. Pacing. Some dragging.
Yeah, I know you had
some dragging, even though it's short. I'm gonna give that a 7. I think that's fair. Fine wine quality. How well this will age someone sees this in 20 years. It's a period piece, so as the Coen brothers famously said, we make period pieces so that they age better. So I think this is going to age really well. I'll give that a 10. So that's a minor score of 84 out of 100. So we're looking at the 80s. So then we'll do the 6 major categories, which are broad categories. I think the dialogue is a 10.
Nice.
I think the dialogue is fantastic. Characters, besides Levy, the rest of the characters are a little less drawn out. I'm going to give that probably a 6. Just because it's kind of focused on one character. The plot, a lot of different places we go with the plot. I'm going to give that a 7, I think. I think there's some weird things in there. It drags a little bit, but again, it's short and it ends very well, as we talked about. Directorial choices / technical production level. That's a solid 8. I think that worked really well. The editing was fantastic. Acting, I'm going to say it's between a 9 or a 10. I'll give it a 10. I think that the acting obviously is fantastic from everyone. Everyone's giving it their all. Overall theme / philosophical interest. I think it tells an age-old theme, but it's told in a pretty interesting way. So, I'll give that an 8. I think it ended up pretty well. So if we add that up, divide that by 6. So we're looking at like 81.6 for the major categories. So if we weight that by doing 0.7 times 0.81666 plus 0.3 times 0.84, we're looking at a score of about 82%, which is a 4-star. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is a great film.
Nice.
So that's what I go through every time, just for you people.
Very good. Very good. Nice. That was fun. I like that. So there you go. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, pair of 4 stars. Go see it out on Netflix. Very nice. Next week, Sam, we got a new Pixar movie.
Yes, we do.
We got
Yes,
Soul
we do.
coming out this Friday, so December 25th on Christmas. We will be here to break it on down. So go check out Pixar Soul on Disney Plus. It is no additional charge as well, which is nice. So Soul next week. Sam, let's hit a recommendation for the week. I'm gonna start it off. We talked about it a little bit, or you mentioned it slightly. Bozeman is singing a little bit. He's doing some dancing in here. And if you liked seeing Chadwick and you just want a little bit more of him, go check out Get On Up. It's the James Brown biopic starring Chadwick as James Brown. And he does all of his own dancing in that and singing. So it's really fun. Chadwick's great in it. And James Brown is awesome, the Godfather of Soul. So my recommendation is Get On Up, the James Brown story. Sam, what is your recommendation for the week?
This week I'm going to be recommending kind of a random one. But I recently read this quick read by this guy named Fyodor Dostoevsky. It's kind of a classic in literature. It's called Notes from Underground. I'm going to relate it to Ma Rainey's Black Bottom because it's very, I guess, monologue heavy. I guess the first half of the book is essentially a long rant. And it's extremely interesting. It's extremely philosophical if you're into those kinds of things. So check out Notes from Underground by Dostoevsky. Finished it this week. Very quick read as well.
Cool.
And with that,
Sam, where can I find you on Letterboxd? Which we've already said, but where can I find you even though?
if you're looking, you can find me at sjdierberger. Check out that rating scale. And where can I find you, Will?
You can find me on Letterboxd at willspalding, and you can find us in the 1920s playing in a band. But You can also find us at anchor.fm/thosefilmnerds and Those Film Nerds on any podcast platform and YouTube, or Those Film Nerds on Instagram and thosefilmnerds@gmail.com. Shoot us any movie-related things, and we'll get back to you on that. But, Sam, with all of that being said,
Keep watching movies, everyone. Have a great week.
listen.